Hey everyone, welcome once again to What Does That Piece Do? My name is Joe and welcome to another quarterly report for Q2 2024. April, May, June, the games that I played that really stood out to me, some of the things that happened on the channel and just life overall. So I'm going to go through, like I say, some of the games that I really played and enjoyed that stood out to me, some other explorations of history and other subjects that are kind of interesting to me too. Along with what I've done on this channel so far in the last 3 months and some other things to look forward to overall. I'm going to have a wrap up too with my game of the quarter, which I'll share with you. I'll save that to the end, and some other fun stuff as we go. So as always, please do like and subscribe if you like stuff like this. Just rundowns of games and my quick hit opinions on them. I'm going to continue to do my tutorial teaches, my dives into history, even some reviews of games too, and also more interviews. So stick around for that. I'm actually going to talk about that a little bit more before the end of this video, what I got cooking in the next little while. So just really quickly then, I want to start with the videos that I did in this. It was kind of a slow quarter. I had a lot going on. I had some travel going on, which is actually really cool. So I might talk about that a little bit. But let's talk about the videos that I did. I had a series of videos at the beginning of April that I did on Circle DC, my field reports and interviews. Basically gave a rundown of all the stuff I did at this conference. The first ever gaming convention that I've been to, hosted by the folks behind Fort Circle. It's down in DC. Lovely city, had a beautiful time, great time, met a lot of people, got to experience a lot of games. Didn't play a lot of full games as much as I thought, but anyway, I gave my whole rundown of that and some of the games that stick out and some of the interviews that I had there. So I had interviews with Tori Brown behind Votes for Women, Joe Durst, the game developer extraordinaire from GMT, and also making his own games. He's got some real exciting titles coming out. And also Mar Hepto, who's in the Zenobia Award circuit right now, working on their game about the Satanic Panic. That was a really cool interview, really eye-opening. So had a lot of fun with those for sure. And then beyond that, all I really had that I was able to accomplish this this past quarter was my Brotherhood and Unity tutorial. I think it was really, really called for. I think it's a really great game, really easy to get into compared to some other war games, but I think just a little bit of help with the video like the one I presented is going to help ideally get more people in the game or get them up and running. Really decent manual though overall, and a really great tutorial that is offered by the designers out there. So check that out if you're not used to learning from videos. But anyway, my video is there if you need it. And then finally, I had my Burn the Fort unboxing. Don't do a lot of unboxings, but when I get something like this, I was really, really waiting for and really wanted to honor the memory of the designer, Clay Benally, who died at the end of last year. So I really took people through what are the components of that. So anyway, not a lot of videos. Also, I had a fairly busy couple months, and, just life in general. Also, I got to travel a little bit, which was pretty great. I got to go out to Nova Scotia for the first time in almost 10 years. A really amazing time out there, spending some time in Halifax, up in Cape Breton, and I actually made it all the way over to Fort Louisbourg. Amazing experience. For those that don't know, Fort Louisbourg is an old French fort during the 1700s that was attacked a bunch of times by the British during 7 Years' War and a bunch of other chaos that was going on in the 18th century, right? This fort had been rebuilt in the 60s and 70s by the Nova Scotia government, and a lot of people behind it, even using like out of work miners to put it together again, and really made this awesome recreation. I've never been to anything like that. Like I know there's probably stuff like that in the States, like Gettysburg and things that you can go to, and it's got these people in period piece costumes and whatnot. But I had never seen anything like that, and I thought it was great. It was amazing, and it really neat to see the one place that shows up on Imperial Struggle as an example. I know that's one fort that you want to try and capture in that game, and I'm sure it shows up in a lot of other games too. So that was good. That really kind of kept me busy. It was really neat dive into history and nature and stuff. So just out there for just over a week. But I just want to thank everyone that has been supportive in watching this channel so far, leaving comments, leaving the really nice comments. Just say, hey, this helped me get into the game. I'd love to hear that. Love to have some discussion. There's some heated discussion sometimes. Some of the topics I might touch on are a little controversial. I get that. That's fine. I invite that as long as everyone's being civil. But my favorite comment has got to be one that popped up on the Land and Freedom teaching video. I think I was sharing it on like a Facebook page or something. Said, hey, if you want to check this out, if you want to see if the game's any good, They had some snappy snide comments just about, I think, the look and design of the game, which I totally understand. This one really got me, though. This person, user HT1JG4QZ3H, says at one point, "Why does your hands look like 85 when your voice sound like 27?" Okay. Why does your hands look like 85 when your voice sound like 27? All right. So I apparently have old, crappy looking hands, but a young sounding voice. Okay. I kind of take that as a compliment. My age is actually somewhere in between the two, a bit lower, not right in the middle, but okay. Yeah, I get it. I used to think I have nice hands. I used to think like, oh, I could be a watch model. These are great looking hands. They've aged, obviously. I'm a cyclist, so I'm in the sun a bit, and so, the sun can age your pasty white guy hands. I get that. The voice thing, too, I kind of get that. Sometimes when I hear back recordings of my voice, I don't think I sound specifically male or female. Like, my gender could be of question if you only heard my voice. But yeah, apparently I have old, crappy looking hands. My wife says my hands are nice, so... Anyway, thank you, user HTJ. I love the fact that I don't even think this person created an account to make that comment, but they saw my ugly looking hands and said, I gotta let this guy know. But anyway, I've been actually having some fun. I've been sharing this with a lot of people. We were howling about it. So anyway, so that's the fun that's been going on the channel here. Let me talk really quickly about some of the games I went through, share some pictures of these amazing games as well. I'm going to start again, Circle DC, what I got to do there. I got to teach 1979 Revolution in Iran, a game that I truly love. I made a video for it on this channel before. I played a game where I got smoked right away. Thanks, Brooks. You really put the boots to me in that one. I also played a handful of prototypes. I won't go too much into detail on them because, hopefully I'll be able to revisit them in the near future. Bosses of the Senate was a really interesting one about just the U.S. Senate and negotiating there. Really cool looking and really great teach. The designer's really very energetic and passionate about it. I think still needs some tweaks to really make it a super awesome playable game, but really had some fun with that. And again, kind of showed my hand there and got whipped at that game with my partner. They're still not happy. Lenin's Legacy, which is going to come out from Matthias Kramer. He wasn't there, but Joe Durst was demoing it. That was really cool. And the new version of Stonewall Uprising was great as well. As far as so there's a lot of prototypes, but as far as games that stood out to that I got to actually play, like a fully produced game, 1714, Case of the Catalans, that was really cool. I thought it was neat, ripped along at 5 players, had a lot of fun with that. Everything else, though, I just got to revisit or dip into like partial games and some prototype games and stuff. So again, great time there. But then when I got back home, well, continued playing stuff with by myself and with friends. So one that stands out to me is Falling Sky. Yes, I got another GMT coin title. That was a really tricky one. I had played Falling Sky. It's about the Roman invasion into Gaul, or like Gaelic revolt against Roman against Caesar. A lot of fun. I've only played it solo so far though, so it's going to take a while until I can actually get that to the table and get people really up and running on it. I had played online before on Vassal, and I thought it was really neat. So years later, here I am revisiting it. Yeah, I did a few runs of that, and it gets really a lot more war gamey than some of the other coins. So there's a lot of extra math and a lot of nuances to that one, but really cool and really beautiful looking too. Now, face to face with someone else, I finally got to play a version of Concordia Corsica specifically. I had never played that before. I think it's a neat, nice looking Euro, really cool theme and vibe and everything. I would play it again. I think it's probably it's not hard to learn, but I think the strategies might be a little tough. My opponent taught me the game, so they were able to put me to task pretty easily and whip me at that one. But yeah, definitely would play that again because the board looks so nice and beautiful. Pretty neat gameplay to that one, and very unique. I can see why it's a hit and why it's been just kicking around for years on a lot of people's lists here. I got to play Saladin, which is I've got it right over here. Again, beautiful looking artwork on this one. This is during the Crusader era. So yeah, you're trying to basically storm a beach on one side and then seize a castle on another one. But really neat, interesting gameplay in that one. But it's just become an exercise in watching your forces fall apart, and a lot of die rolls and everything, because you can only do so much before they really just start to deteriorate. So it's like, who can deteriorate slower? So maybe not as exciting for some people, but I think it'd be a good thing. Like, it's just an exercise you can run if you want to just do a solo it sometimes, just to see how things play out. I should try that at some point. Pretty cool, pretty neat, but maybe a little not that gratifying if you're just trying to like get something accomplished and all you're doing is watching your soldiers slowly die. So that one was pretty tough. But and with the same opponent, I managed to play a W1815, which is a Waterloo game that can play in 30 minutes. And we did, and we played 2 games really quickly. Again, kind of dice roll and just forces peeling off of each other and reacting to each other. And just slowly taking away sticks and counting up your losses and stuff. So not quite the same as Saladin in the way that your losses just start to accumulate and there's nothing you can do, but it does have that element. But a pretty neat, slick, fast-playing game. So one I had a lot of fun with, again, a video that I shot just in the past couple months, the teaching video for it, was Brotherhood and Unity. So I can't say I've played a full game of that yet. We got through 2 turns once and then 3 turns another, but it's starting to look pretty good for me as the Bosnians, but I think that is a pretty incredible game. Again, got to set aside the proper time to play it. I think I'm going to start a Vassal PBEM shortly for that one, and finally get that played all the way through. But I've had some pretty good luck as the Bosnians. I think I got a pretty good strategy, but I might be forced into playing someone else soon. But very cool. It's got a beautiful map, but it's got some little tweaks that could probably be made to make it easier to read the board state. Like, everything's just chits on there, and that was the one minor complaint I had about that. And I think there's ways you can augment that and just have it more easier to read overall. So it's kind of hard to tell when there's trenches and who controls what regions and things like that. But overall, a really cool game, a really really great entry point into war games, a card-based, chit-based war game for sure. And then got into some other ones that are not quite war-based. Raw, the deluxe edition by Knizia, I believe. It's the new version of that one that just came out. I think it's been around for like 20 years or something, but someone's got a copy of this new deluxe version. Very cool. I'm usually not one for Knizia's auction games, but this had a lot of neat stuff going on. I thought it's good. I would play that one again, more so than, say, Modern Art, which I tried once and didn't get too into. But no, Raw was really cool. We were having a lot of fun, 4 of us playing it, and someone that's actually pretty good at doing negotiation games. And they were like the last player standing, and we were like cheering for them to push their luck and see if they'd bust when they're pulling things out of the bag there. But we had a lot of fun with that. I didn't do too well at it. I'm not good at auction games, so I don't know if I'll be able to ever take that one on and with any good strategies, but I had fun. I'd play that one again too. Got some more games of Maria in. Again, the classic is the same crew, same 3 of us that have been playing on and off for the past, I don't know, over a year now maybe. Did not have much luck though as Prussia and the Pragmatic Army. I just had some terrible dice rolls, maybe made some bad decisions all along the way, but kind of got cooked at that one. And I believe, I can't remember who won, but it's always a wild ride. Gotta enjoy Maria and hope to be getting to Frederick sometime soon too. Got to play some PAX Premier finally again for a while. It's one I keep coming back to every once in a while with a crew that really enjoys it. I did good. I managed to pull it off. I pulled off the win in the final turn. It's great when you've got a bunch of people that are really into the game, and when the final turn of the cards comes up and people know it's like, okay, you've won, you've done it. And they're like, even if you don't see it right away, I feel like I'm always at a table with people who are like, there it is, you've got it. And we're not just going to wait to see if that person gets it. It's just kind of like, hey, let's just see what happens here. This is the conclusion. We see it coming together. So it can be super competitive, but at a certain point, we just all have a lot of fun and just really enjoy a good old play of PAX Premier. And here's another one. I believe another Knizia game. It's called Babylonia. Now, this one was really cool, really interesting. You've got, again, I believe it's an old school game, but I think this might be a newer edition of it. It looked really nice. Just about placing tiles. It's like do 2 things every turn, right? Placing tiles all over and trying to build up your wealth and whatnot. And I believe there's some set collection in there. Kind of blanking on it now. I just know that I liked it. And I know it would be hard to figure out a good strategy for that. I didn't do too well in that one. I think I started off with an early lead, and these are the types of games where if you get a quick early lead, then that's probably a bad sign. So I have the habit of doing that, showing my ass, and then people just come after it. But Babylonia, pretty cool. I would definitely play that one again. Okay, slight change of wardrobe and scenery here. As I was recording this the other day, my digital camera ran out of film or something like that. I don't know, I just stopped recording. I kept blabbing anyway, so let me see if I can pick up where I left off and recreate that magic again. So yeah, still talking about some games that I got to play in the past couple months. One new one to me was We Are Coming Nineveh, which is about the Iraqi forces trying to reclaim the city of Mosul in Iraq from ISIS. And I believe it was 2017 is when this went down, so very modern conflict. This was designed, I believe, by a bunch of McGill students and with some help from Brian Train to finish it all off. Brian Train, obviously being a master of guerrilla warfare on the table. So this is a very tactical game. I've kind of had my eye on it since it came out because it looks very beautiful too. It's got a great map, great components, great cards, and everything. But yes, it's extremely tactical. Now I played this over 2 sessions. The first game was a learning game. Really, only 4 turns of the like 12 that you can take here. So as far as we got in an evening, but then managed to do a full game the next meetup a couple weeks later. As full as possible. Ends a bit early. I was playing as the ISIS fighters, trying to hold off the Iraqi forces, and did my best. But yeah, I'm still haven't quite got the knack for tactical. Probably didn't have the best like placement of everything and maneuvers, but it's really neat. It's one of these games like Literal Commander where you've got to get a certain amount of purchase points, where you've got to purchase the technology, again, very modern warfare technology that you're going to use in this battle, and you don't know what the other side's buying either. So, not quite sure what they're coming at you with. Could be drones and things like that, or other guerrilla tactics that you could be using to set yourself up for success or failure. Um, Really interesting tracks that account for points too, which is like casualties, including civilian casualties too. I believe it's called collateral damage, I think is what it is. So these are the people that end up dying in the city because of the efforts to get rid of ISIS here. So yeah, it's a very evocative game. It goes pretty long, maybe for what I want of a game like that. A lot of die rolling and everything, and just resolving battles, but it flows fairly smoothly for what it is and how it does that. Especially if you're the ISIS player, you're probably going to be mostly defending and kind of maneuvering around and not quite getting into battles yet until you can like make sure you're in the right space. But there's things like IEDs and stuff, which is really interesting, especially the mobile IEDs. Like really can launch a surprise attack on the other fighters. But really neat game. Glad I got to play it. I would revisit that one again. Yeah, very cool. We Are Coming Nineveh. Also got to play Port Arthur. This is a fairly new game about the attempted siege of Port Arthur, the Russo-Japanese War at the beginning of the 20th century. It's a should be a fairly quick game normally, but I was learning it for the first time and really doing a lot of die rolling and math, and I maybe pushed it a bit longer than I needed to as the Russians. But it's a boat battle. You get to blow up a bunch of boats and try and take over areas of the sea, and they slowly come in with different strengths, and you get different forces. It's really interesting the way it kind of portrays history, because it takes a few years for some Russian ships to get all the way over to this battle, because they sent them from like St. Petersburg or something and went the long way around. But really a pretty looking game. It's the same designer, I believe, that did 300 Fire and Water or Fire and Earth. So it's got that very interesting sort of tight asymmetrical type of feel for a game that's got a lot going on for what's there, right? And again, really beautiful components, great looking piece of board on the table. I enjoyed that, and I almost held on as the Russians, but I know I got sunk in the end there. And also in that evening, same evening, I was able to play Red Flag Over Paris for the first time in a while with someone whose name is actually in the credits for the game. So it was really cool. I had not played Red Flag Over Paris for quite some time. I think I'd only played it once or twice recently on Rally the Troops, but getting it out on the table is great again. But just reminded me how I really need to rethink my strategy, and I think my opponent had a much better strategy. Again, one of those games where you kind of have to throw down and do like best of three once you go, because there's just so many different ways it can really play out, but like sometimes you get pushed to like very similar outcomes if you're not careful, and if you think you're winning, chances are you're not winning, especially for a first time player. But great to get that on the table. Always love a game of Red Flag over Paris. And another game I had picked up at the beginning of the year, and I finally got to the table, at least just in solo mode, was Plains Indian Wars. All right, so that is basically trying to complete the railroad through the West, and natives trying to fight back against that happening. You can play as the U.S. Army or the settlers, or there's northern tribes or southern tribes. So those are the four main factions. I played it solo though. I played it four-handed just to see kind of how it works, and then I played a solo scenario, which was pretty neat and pretty interesting. But I look forward to playing that with multiple people. Um, I've always kind of been interested in this idea of there's all these 18xx games out there, all building the railroad and let's settle and let's colonize and stuff. But it's really interesting to see one where the Indians are fighting back and trying to stop that from happening. And the mechanics of how it's built and everything are really quite cool, quite interesting. Again, I'm really interested in indigenous narratives and games. I think there's some pretty good representation here. Now, the tribes are just kind of like amalgamated northern tribes and southern tribes, so you don't quite get into the weeds of who's where, but there's a lot of character on the cards though, and you've got a lot of different famous historical indigenous fighters that fought back against the colonizers. So you can learn a lot through that as well as the army and the settler side too. So there's a lot of rich history, I think, in the cards. Yeah, look forward to trying that out with a few more people. And so obviously I've been talking a lot about tabletop games is what I'm focused on when it comes to history games. I don't do video games hardly at all anymore. Not a lot of digital games, but one I want to give a shout out for, and it is one for the iPad. It's Arete for iPad. It is about upcoming Alexander the Great fight alongside his father Philip of Macedonia, and in the Greek battles of ancient Greece, basically in that era. A really awesome game designed by a guy who goes by the name online of Molotov Cockatiel. Bill is his name. I think Vasilios is his name in the credits for this. Must have some Greek background there. Molotov Cockatiel, great job. Great game that you've put out here. It's a light playing hex encounter, fully digital, full rules implementation, and it's got your CRTs there and everything as you're doing things. It's excellent. A really good gateway game into hex encounters. If you're curious about hex encounters at all, this is such a great way to learn, and you can do it just on your iPad without having to go out and buy a game and clip all these counters and stuff. So it's not a very dense game. There's only so many counters that can stack really, and they hardly do it all, but it really helps you figure out maneuvering and the math and when these pieces are side by side and how you can like get full force multiplier on attacks and things. It looks great. The music's great in there and everything. Bill, I think you did a fabulous job. Anyone that's remotely interested for this and has an iPad, go grab it. It's on the iTunes iOS store right now for iPad. It's not an iPhone because you kind of need that screen real estate to play it, but so smooth playing. I played it twice on a flight back from Nova Scotia, so it was great. I had a really fun time with that, and I can't wait to try the campaign mode for that next. You can play it solo. It's got a really great AI built into it to fight back against you, or you can play it online with others, or you can do pass and play and sit next to someone and play this game back and forth. So I want to try it in all the different modes myself. So great job. It's Arete for iPad. Of all the digital games I can recommend right now, that is the one. Go check it out. Okay, so those are all the games that I got to play, and I want to talk about games I hope to play in the next little while too, sitting on the shelf of opportunity. Barracks Emperors is still there in shrink. I want to bust that out hopefully sometime in the near future. This is kind of the continuation of Time of Crisis, but the trick-taking game, which I've seen it being played and heard great things about. Can't wait to dive into that. I got a copy of Tarawa 1943 from Worthington Games. Okay, funny story about that. I managed to, sorry, I got it from Circle DC. I didn't win it. Circle DC, they were giving away a ton of games every day. You just got a bunch of, when you're there at the convention, you've got a bunch of tickets. You can put them in the envelopes for the games you want to win. There's a bunch of them. Some were really appealing to me. I was hoping to snag this one. Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire ended up winning it, and I was saying to her, like, oh damn, that was when I kind of had my eyes on. She's like, well, here, do you want it? She can get her hands on all sorts of free stuff, right? So she's like, hey, maybe take this. I'm like, I don't know if it'll fit in my luggage to get back home, right? But then what does she win next? She wins the giant Dune popcorn bowl with a Shia Halud on it. As soon as her name is called for that, she starts laughing and throws me Tarawa, gives that to me, and then goes and grabs the real prize, right? So that was quite the hilarious moment, but I will get to try Tarawa. It's still in shrink right now, so I'm going to try that one out. It's a solo game. I've also got Battle of Versailles, which is the fashion battle game from Salt and Pepper Games. I sat it down, I pulled it all out, haven't had a chance to play it with anyone, but I think I got the feel of it, and it should be pretty quick playing. It looks really neat, interesting, and tight. I want to play that one soon too. On the other end of the spectrum, for a longer game, I got a friend's copy of Dien Bien Phu. So that's one where I think when the wife leaves for a week, I might be spraying it on the dining table and just kind of trudging my way through it solo to see how it goes. I haven't really played anything that massive as far as a hex encounter, so that will be an experience for sure, especially after watching all the Space Rumsfeld videos. They did a video series on games that represent Dien Bien Phu. This is the Kim Kanger one that I have specifically, so gonna maybe bust that one out. Another Worthington game I have, Crisis 1914. No, since the end of last quarter or kind of into July here, I have busted it out, soloed it a little bit and tried to figure it out, but I hope to really get some actual plays of that. And also Burn the Fort. If you've seen my unboxing for that, gonna play that. I've actually played that already. I'll do that in my Q3 report where I'm gonna talk about this game more. Again, more indigenous narratives in games. I just want to see more and more of that. Okay, so speaking of Burn the Fort and indigenous narratives in games, I actually recently had an interview that I recorded that's going to be on this channel soon. You're going to see more interviews on this channel. Really want to get into those, interview designers and whatnot, and other enthusiasts in the game. This conversation I had was with a fellow content creator and game and history enthusiast, Mark Johnson from War Games to Go. Mark's podcast is really great. He does some great, like, sort of his understanding and learning of history and journey through of learning through games and other media. Him and I have been going back and forth because we're both really interested in a topic or variations of the topic. I'm always interested lately in indigenous narratives and how the indigenous people show up in games, especially conflict games. He's really wanting to dive into first contact, so European contact, settler contact with indigenous in North America. And he's got a few different paths that he wants to take here. Him and I had a video interview just a couple days ago, recorded it. Great conversation about how we're learning on these topics, books we're reading, the other content we're consuming to understand these. So it really kind of intersected in that way. We shared some ideas and some books, like some I've read and recommended to him, and he's reading now too. So really cool conversation. Looking forward to bringing that to you. It'll probably be the next video after this one, and then some other videos down the road, some other interview videos along with the other teachers and stuff. So I look forward to that in the coming months here on What Does That Piece Do? Final game I'm going to talk about, my game of the quarter, and it's kind of a stretch because I only played it once this quarter, but it was quite the experience. Let's just say that. My game of the quarter, a Euro game, Tolkien. Tolkien with the big giant dials, designed by Danielle Tascini. You place your workers on there. It's based on the Maya calendar loosely, but you place your workers on there, and then the dial moves, and you pull them off, and then you reap the rewards and benefits of that while trying to feed your people. Very unique Euro. I've had it for quite some time now, and I had played it in the past, two-player. And I recently, just in the past quarter, played it five-player. Okay, five-player Tolkien is quite the wild ride. So, like, I had bought this years ago when I first started getting into gaming. I didn't want to keep sponging off someone else's collection. I wanted to get some of my own games. And like, oh, cool, this is about Maya culture and stuff. Okay, it's not really. It's like window dressing. Hey, it uses that dial, so it's very thematic for sure. But like, hey, you're not going to learn much about Maya folks besides the names of some of the cities that are in the game. But really quirky game. I had only played it two-player with my partner and then with a friend. I invited that friend and someone else who had played it online and two others who had never played it before. So big, massive five-player game of Tolkien. Whew, it can be a quick game. It can be done in like 2 hours, but I'll say not with five people and when a handful of tables learning or relearning. It was an adventure. It was at least 4 hours, but if you know what you're getting into, if you say, we're going to play Tolkien with five, and it's going to be an afternoon, well then strap in and get ready for a ride, because it was a blast. I was the faction I got the expansion, obviously, the Tribes and Prophecies, so you can play with 5. But then we use the other specific tribal powers that you can get randomly at the beginning of the game, or part of that expansion. I was the one that I got more workers at the beginning, which is great, rather than having to unleash them and bring them out. Spend the time to get them out. But out of the gate, I had to feed them a lot more corn, right? So there's this whole, you got to feed people corn, or they're going to starve, or you're going to lose points, whatever. So I was constantly trying to keep up with the corn here. Now, I had found there was a particular power that does help you get that fuel for your people, and I felt kind of bad because I kind of realized it partway through the game, and I don't think other people were taking advantage of that. So it's clarified that. I hate when that happens. It's like I'm teaching a game and like, oh, you know what? I forgot to tell you this. This would probably help the rest of the people at the table. Want to make sure everyone gets a fair shot here. But it's pretty chaotic, especially with that many people getting in each other's way. That's the whole thing. The whole point of it is like you're going to be blocking spots for people when you've got 5 people for sure. So that was pretty fun. Now I managed to pull out a baller move right near the end and build that structure that I needed for extra points for every person that you've got out, and I had all mine out at that point. So I really ended up, I did not look too good up to that last couple turns, but I really managed to pull it out, and pretty proud of that victory. I'm hoping I didn't cheat though. But so again, it's so goofy, it's so quirky, but I really wondered, is this a game that I want to hang on to? But after playing that again, it's like, yeah, gonna keep that one for a while. It's pretty fun. It's pretty neat. So Sulkin at 5, don't be afraid. If you find the right people, go for it. So that is my game of the quarter. That's all the games that stood out to me this quarter. It's stuff is done to the video channel, other things I'm looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to bringing more videos in the near future. Like I say, stick around for some great interviews really soon, hopefully, as long as I can get around to them, and look out for more. Hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you at the table someday. Cheers, everyone.